face. The spinning takes its place. The mouth begins to race. Recognize my face. Talking by myself. I don't need no help. The chaos takes its place. Recognize my face.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kristen Mannners, and this is a special edition of Targeted. And we are here today with Alex. He is a relatively new targeted individual. I'm also here with my co-host, B. I want to welcome Alex to the show. Thank you, Alex, for joining us. I know that this was well, it was not planned. So thank you for joining us, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
And Alex here is a friend of mine. I guess he's going to be the first guest I've had on all three of my running shows. He's already been a guest on the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. He's already been a guest on Family Case Files TV show. Now he's here on Targeted. Why? Because he is a multifaceted case. Yes, he's had his general experiences, which, you know, we've addressed on Red Pill Hardcore, and a lot of his issues, his current issues, stem from his ex-wife as he's going through a divorce, and which is why he appeared on Family Case Files. Now, the reason why he's on Targeted is because after going through these horrible experiences, he's experiencing remote torture, remote electronic torture. So, Alex, I don't know where we should start with this. I would suggest just everyone watch the two previous episodes, and I'm pretty sure we'll release all these together. But watch the previous two episodes. But you really caught me by surprise one day when you were telling me on the phone that you were being raped in your room.
Yeah, I was. I was renting an apartment, and I finally got a pretty good job, and things looked like they were looking up for me. Then some neighbors moved into my building, people that I just respected as neighbors. I went over and met them. A day or two after they moved in, things got a little weird. The behavior of my neighbors, who I've known for several months, personally, in fact, quite drastically. And then after their behavior changed, I learned later that that's called gaslighting. And then I was going to work. I started my work week, and I was waking up every morning with like a lot of heat and weird pressure in the front of my head. And then I thought I was just working too hard. You know, I don't think like, oh, I'm being shot in the head with like a directed energy weapon, but that's what was happening. So one night I went to sleep, and I had a very weird, the only way I can describe it as a practicing Hindu is an astral experience. And it was outright rape. It was very, very painful. After the rape, I woke up to like these weird implants like all over my body, like my heart, my thyroid. I'm a yogi. I do a lot of yoga. I'm a runner. So I know when something's wrong with my body. And there were just a bunch of these implants all over my body. And then they started hurting immediately whenever I would go into my apartment. And eventually, rather quickly, I got some healing. So they were all removed, although it cost a lot of, well, what I now know is loosh. And or in yoga we just call that life force, but apparently they were stealing my loosh, and I couldn't figure out why. I think a lot of it has to do with what I've been going through, but it was regardless, it was very painful. I couldn't get out of bed. If I can, use the scientific term, my genitals really hurt. My abdomen was totally destroyed, like just very painful. My pelvic floor muscle, my hips, and I think I probably should have gotten out earlier, but I've never experienced this before. I had employees from the local phone company knocking on my door asking to install internet when I already have internet. There was just a lot of really weird experiences like that prior to the rape and the implants, which were extremely painful. I can't believe people go through that, but this stuff is really real. And anyway, that was basically my experience. It was not pleasant.
And Kristen, I know you had your experience a little bit with this, and thinking back, rape, the definition for a man, or at least on an individual basis, can vary. I've never considered myself electronically raped. I mean, there's the mental rape when they do the remote neural monitoring and they do the endless synthetic telepathy. And I have actually had many experiences where, let's say, I have a very important phone call with a lawyer, or a very important phone call, or just something extremely important to do, something damaging. I go about doing it, and it's like all of a sudden my testicles are hurting. And I'm not talking like kicked and the balls hurting. I'm talking about a virgin being teased by a hot number, groping, and walk away like blue balls to the 10th degree. Like you can't do anything. You can't walk. You can't. Sitting down hurts. Even I've had times where I've curled up into the fetal position, leaned against a wall, so that my testicles aren't touching anything, not even my own legs, and it's excruciating. Right before I have this important meeting, right before I have this important phone call, right before I'm extremely important interview. And I never actually thought of that as rape. That's really what it is.
It is rape.
Like, rape. Now, Kristen, you were gonna. I don't know if you want to talk about this again. I think it's been a while since we've spoken about this.
Part of what I do, and part of being a targeted individual and having a guest like Alex on is, in my viewpoint, is to reassure somebody like Alex that he's not the individual on the planet that has gone through this. Not only was I gangbang raped, physically gangbang raped by two individuals at my residence, and they put a medication pack up my rectum, tore my rectum and put a medication pack up my rectum. And then a female officer from my police department in my state would not take a rape kit. That's first. But after I spent a year and a month in a nursing home from having my back fractured by these people, they threw me down a flight of steps. I finally got out of the nursing home. And when I finally got into an apartment after this whole ordeal, my perpetrators lived right above my head. They tried to tunnel down through the unit above me to get to me. And I was getting electronically raped upwards of 15 to 30 times a day. And I've had multiple bladder reconstructions. And it hurt so bad that I would just lay there in tears and I would beg, please stop, you're hurting me. You're hurting me. And I would just lay there and cry, begging them to quit. And the more that I would beg them to quit, the harder they would rape me. And I had to figure out ways to stand up, to get away from what they were doing. I had to figure out ways to stop what they were doing because they were just relentless. They would not stop. And at first, I didn't even realize that that is what was happening. I didn't realize it was possible. Once I realized what was going on, I was absolutely flabbergasted and shocked beyond my wildest comprehension. And literally, the more I begged, the harder they went at me. Now, I'm in a new place now. I'm actually in Castle Rock, Colorado now, but you know, it wasn't bad enough that they had me physically gangbang raped from behind while, you know, they drugged me and stepped on my back. That wasn't bad enough. You know, they had to finish me off by electronically raping me over and over and over again. So what I want to tell you, Alex, is there's nothing inaccurate whatsoever about what you're claiming and what you're saying. It's completely 100% true. And as far as being a man, I want to tell you that you have a lot of incredible courage to come on and talk about this, because rape isn't a subject that men have to talk about that often. And I'm really commending you as far as being a man and coming on a show like this and talking about a subject that's incredibly difficult for a man to talk about. And you have a lot of courage right now. And I'm very, very, very sorry that something like this has happened to you. I really am, because I have 100% knowledge over what this feels like and how bad it degrades your spirit. It's like a molestation of your soul. It really is.
It really is. I was just sitting at my desk trying to, you know, process what happened. And, you know, being in yoga, I'm very comfortable with the human body. And so I can talk about these things, and that's, you know, it's fine. People get raped all the time. I mean, it doesn't make it right, but it happens.
Yes, it does.
I did not expect it to happen to me. I would agree it is a violation of the soul. I mean, I was sitting at my desk trying to process what happened, and, you know, I'm shedding tears that, you know, I'm not crying, but like, it was like my soul was crying.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's just the only way I personally could explain it is just the times we're living in. There's just a lot of evil, and there are a lot of evil people who will sell God at cost to get whatever they want at the expense of their own souls. So, I mean, I really
You're
feel
exactly
worse.
right.
I feel worse for them just because they are really damning themselves by treating people like that. That is really messed up.
Well, the way that I've explained it to other people is what we're witnessing now is a complete new form of mental illness in society like we have never seen before in my lifetime. We've never seen this in society in general. We've never seen a mental illness to this magnitude before in society ever. This is a horse of a different color, one that needs to be addressed to an extreme degree. However, it's not being addressed appropriately yet, but we're making strides to get this viewed as a serious problem. When you start having crimes like these that are being committed that are not being punishable by authorities, that is a problem. it is a serious problem.
I would agree, especially with the mental illness part. I would say a lot of these people are on pretty heavy drugs. I could tell right away when one of these men moved in. He was a pretty serious alcoholic. I can see that there's a lot of there are a lot of people in the world who are on way too many medications. There are people who don't take care of their bodies the way they should, and consequently, when you're mistreating your body with substance abuse or with pornography or with any kind of bad thing like that, it's going to turn the individual who struggles with those things into a monster, and they're going to make bad choices. They're going to become what I now know as a perp. They're going to rape people. They're going to harm people. It's not just like a mental illness. It's really a spiritual sickness, and these people are lashing out at those around them, and it's really messed up.
Definitely.
Exactly. And it's not so much that that this psychopathy within the ruling class is a new thing. There's
not
evil men. There's always been psychopaths who are in some aristocratic seat, some political seat, some military position of power. These people have always existed. What has changed is the technology. Now you have the technocracy now, which is what we all live under. It's a technocracy. Remote control. You know, if you're a whistleblower, you know, you need to talk to a lawyer and call somebody. All of a sudden, your phone no longer works, or your computer's been hacked. Your router's been burnt up. If you are having, you know, online relationships, you know, all of a sudden there's a fake profile put in front of your profile to get messages and send messages back. Oh, all of a sudden this person no longer wants to talk to you anymore. Now you're alone. We've given these people too much power when it comes to the technology.
I would agree.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, though, hold on, let me finish. And when you talk about the addiction, this is heavy addiction. Now, they want to, it's really sick in the psychosis. They want to, you know, these are sterile robots who want, they'll pick on people who have addictions, alcoholism or anything else, and they'll pick on these people. They'll think, oh, they've justified it. Some of them have justified it in their own heads that we're going to harass this person so they stop drinking or they stop doing these drugs, because a lot of this targeting is done in the name of drug program, sort of a forced rehab on a person.
Yeah.
I've many instances of this, but
yeah.
someone asking their psychopathy and their own addiction, how far can we push this person? How much can we mess with this person? How far? Let's do everything we can to this person. And the drug in this scenario is the power that they're trying to wield. Whatever lame justification they can use it for.
I would agree with all of what you said, but several things in particular. There is way too much technology in the hands of people who are abusing it. I have, this is one of my certs. I have more than this, and I want people to know that what V here is talking about is very real. I am very qualified to. I could build a data center if I wanted. It would be no problem for me. And I don't know, I mean, I understand how these individuals would get access to such technologies. There's no real oversight for what they have. But like V was talking about, profiles being edited, phone calls being interrupted, this technology exists. it's relatively easy to get a lot of this technology. But more specifically, these individuals, if they have the training, they're going to very easily be able to edit your texts on your phone, monitor your email, monitor your Facebook, monitor anything they want, change anything they want. And the fact that they do it for really either no reason or as an act of power or whatever it is that gets them off or gets them paid is astoundingly egregious. And it is,
yes,
yeah, it is really egregious. And there needs to be somebody who can keep those kind of people in check.
yes, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, we have such a large country. You would think that, you know, there would be some sort of extraordinary oversight for extraordinary technologies, but I guess there's not. And you're right. It's a problem that needs to be rectified. V.
Well, and see that is, I think, the error in thinking here. The problem with the oversight is that the oversight is more corrupt than the actual ordeal. Okay, you know, you have police departments that can go outside with stingrays and intercept phone calls, see if you're doing drug deals, whatnot. But even after that, you've got the NSA over them intercepting their police activity, condoning it, if not making it worse. If something goes awry, they can pick and choose their fall guy. Whatever officer does this and that. The higher you get up in the oversight, the more corrupt it is. We need undersight. We need people who are
Right.
awake and aware and are from underneath, to pull these people down from their positions of power and get them dealt with. That is the real thinking in which that's the real way we should handle these things. But Alex, I want to go back to your experience though, because you called me one day, speaking of this very subject, you called me one day because your phone calls were not getting through to the police.
Yeah, that was a little scary.
Oh, I've had that happen before.
You know, I'm a pretty good trap shoot. I used to go with my mom and my sisters and my ex-wife, and you never forget the sound of a charging handle. And I was in my apartment and I was uploading a lot of, part of my experience was having my apartment burglarized and vandalized, and that was pretty awful because I had to pay for that, you know. Anyway, as soon as I started downloading pictures and text records and things like that from these individuals, my former neighbors, I heard a lot of swearing, and then I heard a charging handle, and I was really scared. But being an IT operations specialist, I just unhooked my hard drives real quick, put it in a backpack, and I ran out the door. And I went over to my mother's house, which is not too far away, and I attempted to call the police because I thought I was going to get shot. And I made the call to the police, but the phone call was suddenly very much cut off. And then a subsequent phone call to friends was also cut off. That was really scary. My mother is getting older, so she couldn't really, deal with this really wild craziness that was going on. So I ended up just walking down to a hotel. I take the bus to work. I live in a place where I can take the bus to work. And as I was walking, I started getting chased by cars, specifically an SUV that made a big habit of following me. That was really scary.
Hold on. But before you walked down the hotel,
Right,
after your phone calls were getting dropped to the police, you were still able to call me.
I was, but my phone call to you, remember, at least to my memory, was dropped. Like, it was also dropped after the call to the police was dropped. There is technology, although it's illegal now. Like, there's military phone jammers I'm sure they have access to nice ones. They have like a 5-mile range. There's really small ones you used to be able to get on eBay. They're very illegal now. It's like a felony, but I'm sure they have access to these things. I don't mean to get ahead of myself. It's just reliving the experience. There was a lot of adrenaline. You know, I was like ankle deep in snow, and you know, I'm wearing like beach shorts. You know, because I'm like, I did not expect to wake up that morning to run. You know, to hike. You know, I'm a long distance runner, so I basically hiked 30 miles in ankle deep snow down to a hotel and then a homeless shelter. It was awful. I would definitely be dead if it wasn't for me taking care of my body. And I can't imagine what a lot of people go through who are targeted, who have children or spouses who are at risk of being in danger. God bless you people. I am so sorry this happens to you. The only thing I can say is that I want to help in some way, because it's so wrong on so many levels, and I can see how and why it would happen. But as V was saying, it is a grassroots movement. The individual, the common man, really needs to take a stand against this in any form, and there are ways we can do it. I think that, for starters, voting for politicians who you know are good people, not condoning secret societies, even on a low level like Freemasonry, anything like that. I think that time has passed. People don't need that anymore. For those who are very spiritual or spiritual at all, you can tell there's a lot of change going on in the world. Some call it an awakening. I would say that there's 10 administrations of this, I guess it's gang stalking, it needs to end. There's just no room for it. There's no room for secret societies. And V's right. It starts with the individual, the common man, who really doesn't have a lot of power.
Where are you located, Alex?
I'm located in Wisconsin right now.
Okay, so you're on basically your East Coast.
No, Wisconsin is Midwest, but it is
Midwest. But you're not in California, is what I was saying, because the TI rally is coming up in Sacramento in April.
Oh, well, I do have to move pretty soon, and I wouldn't mind going to such an event. I'm pretty knowledgeable on a lot of things. My family is not, for those who know me, my family is, you know, they have a little bit of reptilian blood in them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But well, I have a pure heart, and that's why, you know, I don't do those things. So What do you think prompted your targeting? What do you think happened? Am I allowed to talk about that, V? Should I give my...
Well, considering your court case is not over yet, I think we should actually fast forward even beyond that, because Alex, you and I have been friends for
many years.
7 going on 8, about 8 years now.
Yeah.
But when we first met, no, I think longer than that. It's been about 9 years, closer to 9 years. When we first met online, because it's no secret to the world, I'm a video gamer. We both met on Steam, playing some violent video game.
Yeah.
Big Counter-Strike.
I remember you did say that.
Oh, I think it was like
being a gamer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not as much anymore, but I did. There was a time.
Well, and it was around that time period you were asking me about the military. Oh, should I join the military? And I told you my experience and how that's the worst thing a person can do with their life.
I would agree.
Me being military and all. Yeah, and so I sort of gave him the breakdown and of all that. But at that time period, you were telling me how, you know, you were trying to pick up your life because of the traumatic experiences that you've had. And I don't know if you want to talk about this, but
sure.
at this point in time, you're telling me symptoms of what all target individuals have that I didn't pick up until I became a target individual maybe 5 years later.
I can talk about that a bit. I experienced a lot of, I was a very spiritually advanced child, and I dealt with that as best as I could. Now, I would agree, there were a lot of things that I picked up on recently when I realized this targeting individual stuff is super real, and I'm definitely targeted. There is a lot of spiritual attack that happens in the youth of children who are very advanced or targeted or whatever. And the child is in no way going to be prepared for those things. And these things that they do to these children is unconscionable and really it will permanently affect the
Well, Alex, we might have to edit this part out, but I'm talking about the whole hearing the voices of God and the making you think that you're a prophet, and then subsequently being thrown on a ton of psychotropic drugs.
I could talk about this a bit. Specifically, my knowledge of the voice to God technology was, I thought it was like a collective or something, like just talking to like a collective. I'm a pretty spiritual individual, but it's like a sounding board or a collective or something. I guess that's the best way to describe it, is like you think something and then a thought that's usually negative is brought back to the individual. And I'm very mentally strong. I'm a very spiritually strong person. You know, I can handle these things, but children who go through these things like I went through when I was in middle school, they will not be able to handle or understand what is going on. During middle school, I experienced a lot of, during my childhood, if it's okay, I'll talk a bit about my childhood. I experienced a lot of...
It's fast to hit the bullet points. The show's only so long.
Sure, I will hit the bullet points real quick. I experienced, because of my blood, you could say, I guess, I experienced a lot of sexual violence as a child, and in middle school, they had me on like 16 and a half different pills a day, you know, for post-traumatic stress disorder. And I got to be honest, that's not right. And that was not helping me after going through what I went through. Yeah, again, all I can say is what they do to these children is unconscionable. Most will not survive if they are targeted, and that's why it's so important for us to stand up for these children.
One of the most disgusting and despicable things to me as a targeted individual is the fact that these people cannot just stop at targeting adults. You know, it's hard enough for an adult to deal with this, but they got to go after kids.
Yeah.
Now, that to me, that right there says everything you'll ever want to know about these people.
Well, the targeting the adults is the experimentation and in kill zone. That's the soft kill program. Whatever data they collect off of the adults, they use to control the children. See, it ends off the kill, but begins with control.
Whatever and however they do it, it's putrid. They're putrid. They're disgusting. It is wrong. And to use a child for anything like this, to take away their innocence in this fashion, is beyond contempt.
Well, I agree. And Alex, I want to thank you for definitely coming on and telling your story. The rest of your story. I'm sorry it had to be over 3 different TV shows.
Exactly.
But You set a record in being the only guest to hit all 3 of these TV shows.
I hope to do more in the future. I mean, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. This is really bad. This is going to mess our entire country up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to thank you very much, Alex, for coming on, and this has been a special edition of Targeted. Thank you again for joining us. My name is Kristen Mannners. Thank you again.